Hello, Clayton again. I had a few requests for a butternut squash soup, and it took me a while to do it because I've been busy, truthfully. And yes, I'm growing a beard this season, so I do look scruffy. But when you're cooking, make sure that you keep it nice and trim. Otherwise, you're gonna get hair in your food. Okay. First of all, we're gonna start out with half a pound of butter, which butter equals yum. Always turn it up. What you're going to be doing is taking one large onion and throwing it in that butter. Don't forget that's a half a pound of butter, because look, we've got a half pound of flour. So that right off the bat should tell anybody who's been watching my videos, it means we're going to be making a roux to thicken a gallon of stock. So, because I'm going to use about a gallon of stock for this. Now, I went a little overkill on the butternut squash. Butternut squashes are kind of a pain in the neck. They really are. Because first you have to peel them, which takes a potato peeler, a vegetable peeler, and if you don't have a really sturdy one, it's going to bend the crap out of it. And then you have to cut it up, and it's pretty tough. And take your time doing it, because if you rush on it, you're going to end up with a huge blister on your finger. And this is just from experience, because I did about 8 or 9 for like a 4-gallon thing of butternut, for a 4-gallon recipe of butternut squash soup at school. And I did it quite quickly, and my hands were ruined for about a week. Also, I have I'd say about 2 tablespoons of sage that I've chopped up, and I have some pepper and some rosemary that I chopped really fine. I have a pint of heavy whipping cream also. Okay, and the basic thing is, what we're going to do is we're going to sweat these onions until they're nice and soft. Get it in there. Sweat them until they're soft. Don't get color on them, really. Let's get a light on here for my cameraman. There we go. You can probably see that better now. We're going to get these nice and soft, and then we're going to throw in as much butternut squash as I really deem necessary. And I did go a little overboard, but the more butternut squash, the tastier it'll be. So I might be able to get it all in there, but that's going to make a heck of a lot of soup, I'll tell you that much. I think I'll put it all in just because it'll taste good. But the thing is, the rosemary and the sage. At this time of year, sage goes good with a lot of stuff, and with the butternut squash soup, the flavors kind of meld together really nice. Okay, so after these have sweat, we're going to throw the butternut squash soup, the butternut squash in that we've chopped up, and then we're going to cook that a little bit, sweat that a little bit, cook it just not until it's done, just get a little bit softer. Then we're going to throw the flour in there. And we're going to stir it up really nice. And then when it's incorporated the flour into the butter, we're going to pour all of our hot stock, make sure it's warm to hot stock in, and then you're going to cook it until all the butternut squash is really nice and not tough at all. It's all really soft. And at that point, you're going to take an immersion blender. That's what this is. A lot of people call it a stick blender, or wand blender, or whatever at home. Take your immersion blender, and you're going to puree the snot out of it. That's a technical term. But you're going to puree it until it cannot be pureed anymore. And with these, all you got to do is stick it in and turn it on. Just hold it, because it'll move everything around for you. If you want to, you can go up and down. Don't pull it out while you're doing it, though, because it'll everywhere. Then we're going to pass it through a nice little colander that I have that I like to use on a lot of stuff like this. And get all the really major chunks of butternut squash that aren't completely cooked, get it out, and it's going to give it a nice creamy texture. And then we're going to throw in our herbs, cook it a little bit more, and give it the flavors that I want in it. And then I'm going to finish it off with the heavy whipping cream. Now this is what you would call a pureed soup. If you want to do it differently, you could do cream of butternut squash soup, and you can add about a pint of warm milk near the end, and then add just a little bit of heavy whipping cream at the end. But I like the pureed one better because everyone kind of associates the pureed soup of butternut squash soup to what everyone likes. And that's pretty much how I do it. I mean, I'm not really giving you an amount for the butternut squash. I did say a large onion, but you know, as much onion as you really want to do. Soups aren't rocket science. Whatever you want to throw in that soup, that's going to be good. I don't go by a recipe for soups because sometimes a recipe can ruin a soup, and I like to make a good soup. So I try to do it as hearty as possible. And this is actually 2 butternut squashes at about 5 pounds each. So it's a good amount of butternut squash. You see the different colors? Actually, you can tell that this one was from one. It was a little bit bigger. This one was from a smaller one, and it was not as ripe. But you know what? Doesn't matter. And yes, I did get way too much butternut squash, but you know, it'll work. Now, that's going to take a while to sweat, so that'll be probably about the end of the video. I'll go over the steps as soon as I put the lid on here. I'm going to turn that down a little low, let that soften up, then throw the flour in there, and then throw the stock in, and then do the rest of it. Okay, so first, melt the butter, sweat the onions, put the butternut squash in it, and you could actually get away with about 1 butternut squash at about 5 pounds. And they only cost about, they're about $1.19 per pound, so it's pretty cheap. I mean, you go to a restaurant, you're going to pay quite a bit for butternut squash soup, really, because people love it, and they try to say it's expensive, but really it's a perceived, you know, worth. Okay, so sweat onion, sweat the butternut squash until it's partly soft. Then put in your flour, make the roux with it. Then put in the stock, and then wait for the butternut squash to get so soft that it's just kind of falling apart. Then puree it, strain it, and you could add these before you puree it, and that'll be just fine. And that's fine and dandy. You can do that, and then you must strain it, and then finish it with the heavy whipping cream. Okay, and you can use as much as you want. I'll probably use the whole thing because I like a good creamy texture to a butternut squash soup. So it'll be a bit lighter color, and some people like a little less. But my brother-in-law loves mine, and the way I do it is by heart, not really by head. And you do this for Thanksgiving or this time of year, you know, with Christmas, and people really love it, especially when it's starting to get cold. You know, you with soups, it's great because you can throw whatever you have in and I hate to say even in cans. If you have some canned goods and you're snowed in and you want to make a soup, get out your stock you've made. Now remember that stock I showed you how to make. Well, the reason why you can save it is you can put it in a gallon bag, Ziploc bag, make sure it's nice and sealed and not leaking anywhere. Throw it in your freezer. Guess what? It'll keep. Whenever you need it, pull it out, unfreeze it. Or pull it out, unfreeze it till the point that you can kind of cut as much off as you want, like a quart or something. Or you can get like little quart containers and freeze them, and that way you know how much you're going to be using. But that's another way to use the stock you've made. And soups are a great way to pass the time in the winter because it's cold, and they warm you up, and they kind of bring you back to when you were a kid. And you go out and you play in the snow really hard, and you come back, and your mom uses like the old canned soups and like makes you like tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwich. Well, guess what? We're grown up now, so let's try to step it up with our soups, and because we can do it, make soups that you'd wanted as an adult. My 9-year-old loves this soup. My brother-in-law, who's a little bit older than me, I mean, the first time he made it, he's like, "Can I have some to take home?" And it was Thanksgiving. I was like, "Yeah, take the rest." It was gone within like 2 days from what he said, and he just wants me to make it all the time, and I'm like, well, the reason why I don't make it all the time is A, butternut squash isn't in season all the time, and B, I don't like peeling it and cutting it up that much because it's a real pain in the butt, like I said earlier. So that's about it for now. Next week, I have a special Thanksgiving video I'm going to do, and I've had a lot of people really excited about this one that I've told. I'm going to show you how to do a turkey in under 2 hours. Yes, a turkey in under 2 hours. That means the rest of your day doesn't have to be spent, you know, checking the temperature, and then, you know, oh gosh, we got to do the last little bits of it at the end. Oh no, our casserole has to go in right after the turkey. Well, guess what? You can have the turkey down already, and in a warmer. By the time, you know, the dinner gets there, guess what? You've already sat down and, you know, had a cigar or whatever you like to do, you know. So anyway, this is Clayton. See you next time.